If you could explain to us what is Sameeksha Capital's investment strategy. I believe that one of the things that Sameeksha Capital looks into are companies that are undergoing significant transformation, but are not on the radar of many investors. If you could elaborate this by giving an example and even some other thoughts on investment strategy per se.
We are predominantly focused on the India growth story. And so we look for companies that are participating in India's growth story. We believe that India has a very long, runway for growth. I think, I mentioned earlier that, we have maybe 20, 25 years of runway for growth, high growth, that is. And, which of the sectors and companies can take advantage of that? Which companies have, strength in their business model to capitalize on that? Now, what tends to happen is when we invest, we have a very strict investment criteria that the expected return over coming 2 to 3 years, which is our investment horizon when we start, should meet or exceed our minimum required rate of return for a given business. And that minimum required rate of return depends on the volatility of the business in terms of the earnings, cash flows more importantly, and also the liquidity, the trading volume in the stock, how difficult is it to buy and sell the stock. Those two factors affect our minimum required rate of return. So we would buy a stock only if after doing all the work, we find that the stock is available at a price from which we can meet that condition. So what it does is it pushes us to look for companies which are not yet fully appreciated by the market. Now, they might be not appreciated for multiple reasons. First could be that let's say recent listing, it was an IPO and stock is recently listed, so maybe not many people have looked at the company in great detail. Second could be that it just happens to be a relatively small company, so it doesn't have as much active coverage from sell side, and it's not on the radar of some mutual funds and so on. And third could be it could be a small or a large company that is going through transformation, and the market is for various reasons not willing to reward the company for that transformation. The transformation has to happen for the market to value it. So I think we have found great opportunities in all three buckets. So in the first bucket, the name I can think of, is like, for example, Polycab, which, post listing was trading at a very reasonable valuation. I think there were a lot of concerns about the company, in terms of the quality of the management and so on and so forth. We did our homework. We talked to, some other competitors of Polycab. We talked to some distributors and also talked to the company itself. And we were convinced that this company is going to deliver phenomenal results. And we invested in it. It also met our criteria for the required rate of return. It turned out to be a very good investment. Another example in a similar category would be Anand Rathi Wealth, which, I think there were a lot of negativity around the business model of the company in the marketplace. But we actually delved deep into the business model, and we felt that this company actually has a very unique business model, and they have some competitive advantage that is going to be very hard for others to meet or copy. And it was available at a great value, and that's why we invested in the name. When I talk about companies that are like going through transformation, a great example would be ICICI Bank. It was trading at a meaningful discount to HDFC Bank when we looked at it. That's when the company had gone through the change in the main leadership, as well as for example, the whole episode that happened about 5-6 years back.
Yeah.
And the new management had came out and laid out the strategy, which was focused on generating superior returns on equity. Creating. In fact, the strategy required change in culture in terms of the way the bank was run. And it all sounded great, but whether or not it's going to happen. So we did our own work. We were fortunate to also talk to the company and discuss this. And then we observed how this was playing out for 1 or 2 quarters, and we saw that things were beginning to happen. And that's when we actually invested in ICI. In fact, it was pretty much not exact switch, but around the similar time there were issues with HDFC Bank with respect to its technology, and there came a ban from RBI on credit cards, and that switch worked out extremely well for us because ICICI Bank not only delivered growth but also saw a re-rating. So there were two factors driving the share price improvement, whereas HDFC Bank got massively derated. So I think this is kind of the examples that I can think of in terms of the kind of things that we like to invest in.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for explaining your investment strategy and thoughts, and even giving corresponding examples. I think it will really help investors to know better about Sameeksha Capital's investment strategy.